Dancing construction workers, angels with giant heads, and whatever these things are. It's a surreal ceremony for the opening of what's been billed as Switzerland's construction of the century. Leaders from Germany, Italy, Austria and France joined Swiss President Johann Schneider-Ammann at the spectacle in Palleggio, Switzerland, where a record-breaking 57-kilometre tunnel now cuts through the Swiss Alps. The mammoth engineering project links the stations of Estfield in the north of Switzerland to Bordeaux in the south. Work on what's now the world's longest and deepest tunnel started 17 years ago.
With a guest list that read like a meeting of the United Nations.
When you celebrate science, perhaps it's best to not get carried away. The inauguration ceremony included some, how should we put it, original choreography.
It's quite bizarre.
Aidalami, do you associate this kind of dancing with the inauguration of a tunnel?
I don't understand.
It's leaving
art
you speechless.
It leaves me speechless.
So the internet has been ablaze, in shock over what transpired in Switzerland with the opening of the longest and deepest tunnel in the world. Conspiracy research community and regular folk across the spectrum alike were in disbelief. What many are saying was the most open, satanic, occult ritual of all time. Even much worse than the 2012 Olympics. But it was truly shocking. It has definitely hit me to my core. When I first saw it, especially the end of the ceremony, my heart was heavy, and it's just difficult to watch, but I was reassured that after what I just witnessed, there's going to be some disturbing and bizarre times ahead, more than we've ever seen. That much we should realize. These Freemasons, these so-called ruling elite, they now know they can perform outright blatant satanic rituals short of literally sacrificing a human being on screen and easily get away with it. They don't care. They no longer care. It's just another indication that shows you just how close we are. We're in the final phase of a plan spanning hundreds, if not thousands of years. And if what transpired in Switzerland doesn't wake you up to that, I don't know what will. This ritual was a ritual for the unleashing of the underworld. Gotthard Tunnel, underground. CERN, underground. As you'll see in this video, the connection between this tunnel, the ritual performed there, and CERN goes far, far beyond being in the same territory and both being underground.
But there is definite viewer discretion advised because there's a lot of very disturbing imagery in it. Now this happened in Switzerland, near the Swiss Alps. Air show and bizarre performance opens the longest tunnel in Swiss Alps. This spectacular air show marked the opening of the world's longest record-breaking rail tunnel in Earthfield, running for 57 kilometers through the Swiss Alps. The ceremony continued with a freakish show where some of the half-naked performers dressed as goats allegedly tried to express the hellish work through the mountain, or the fact that the gates to hell are now officially open. Let this sink in here for a moment. This is how the Secular World, a Russian newspaper, described this event, where 4 heads of state were at. Even the Secular World states that it was a freak show and that it strongly hinted at and conveyed to them that the gates to hell were open. That's how blatant this show was. With the main performer being the dancing goat and other blasphemous references to Christ in this event too as well. They even prayed around the lamb, and even, again, Secular World was looking at this and saying, what in the world is this showing? This is so bizarre. This is a freak show. What are they showing here? They're doing this openly. Many blatant references to Cernurnos and Pan figures and satyrs in connection to parading the dead lamb around, mocking the Lamb of God, at the same time while the goat figure is dancing around, celebrating. all during this Cernernos dance and the witchcraft and pagan occult illustrations they were involving here with blatant witchcraft dances as well. They're displaying sparking forges and evoking video imagery on the wall referencing hell as well. Other pictures from being in the forge and the fires emerging at this time and red flames, all this coming together while the gates and the doorways are opening, bathing everything in red. This event was truly disturbing. It truly does disturb you when you watch the footage of it. This was most certainly an occult event. And they show all the red and the bloodshed that is associated with opening the door. And when they open the door, smoke emerges, just like the Bible talks about when the bottomless pit is opened. Smoke emerges as though from a great furnace. And a train comes rolling in. There's going to be a portal open. There's going to be a dimensional highway made. And things are going to come out of it, like the Bible states. And we talked about just several weeks ago, at the same time as all these other events starting, how they were blatantly letting the world know the gates of hell were about to open. With the Inferno trailer with Tom Hanks, bringing that onto the scene in connection with a lot of other things we've been studying as well, prominently featuring trains in the trailer too as well, because they use it as a picture of time traveling, moving a long time as well, but then also as a cue card to look for other events tied to the messaging as well with the train tunnel. And we talked about how in the trailer they talk about being in the underground and rivers of blood, because they know all these are tied together. The one leads to the other. And they know there's going to be a massive release of shedding of blood, and ties in with other messaging they've put down before with the Da Vinci Code blasphemy and the Angels and Demons film, which was filmed at CERN. All these are connected by subject matter. CERN definitely does seem to be part of opening the bottomless pit. We've talked about that before. And they're now announcing that hell is about to be unleashed. The mystery of iniquity is about to be unrestrained. And then just 2 days after that, they again prominently featured on Bing the gates of Hades being opened with their Orcus reference, referencing Hades, the Underworld. And we've seen a lot more messaging in between that, but then just recently on the 31st, a commemoration of the Hell of Verdun using some of the same public figures who were also involved at the tunnel ceremony, Merkel and Hollande, bringing attention to the Hell of Verdun, and we talked about that, and with the lighting evoking their same color messaging. And then the very next day, they went to the tunnel opening where they commemorated Cernernos and pain coming from the underworld and persecution and bloodshed, celebrating openly that the gates to hell are about to open. They don't need to hide it anymore.
I do want to reiterate here again and drive home the point that it is irrelevant whether or not we believe the Bible to be true, Satan to be real. The important thing to understand and realize first and foremost, if you are a non-believer in the spiritual realm, spiritual warfare, etc., is these people do. And they are literally carrying out an agenda based on these ideologies. This is the reality. So in order to understand the bigger picture, understand why they perform rituals such as this, you must understand things biblically and spiritually. Let's take a look at various symbolism of this ritual and break it down in terms of time and space, CERN, and the opening of what is called the abyss, as described in Revelation. These are aspects I've covered from time to time, and it seemingly culminates with this ritual and only further solidifies my conclusion regarding the real agenda behind CERN. So what we actually see playing out in this ritual is Revelation 9:11, and that states, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name Apollyon." And as we can see, the 9/11 memorial in New York, called the Infinity Pool, is a direct reference to Revelation 9:11, and that is no coincidence. It is a direct reference and representation of the bottomless pit, the abyss, the black void. This is what they've shown us time and time again, consistently throughout history in their occult structures and locations all over the world, 9/11 Memorial, Infinity Pool being a prime example. Even RT News wrote an article on CERN and revealed the quote-unquote curious connection between Apollo and CERN. Quote, "Now on top of all the speculation as to what CERN scientists are really attempting to do with their LHC, many observers cannot help but notice that the town in France where CERN is partially situated is called Saint-Genès-Pouilly. The name Poi comes from the Latin Apolliacum, and it is believed that in Roman times a temple existed in honor of Apollo, and the people who lived there believed that it is a gateway to the underworld. It is interesting to note that CERN is built on the same spot." End quote. So CERN was built over the ancient site of Apollo, aka Apollyon the Destroyer. The name Apollo was often linked in ancient Greek writings with the verb apollimi or apollio, meaning destroy. CERN's Shiva, of course, is also known as the Destroyer. With that said, let's look at the actual symbolism of the ritual. Let's look at the first part of the ritual, the obvious Satanism, and the worship of the angel of death, the angel of the bottomless pit. The Baphomet androgynous figure we see here, it's the Baphomet angel of death archetype with androgynous features. You can see male breasts, and that is quite disturbing, and it is exact representation of Baphomet. Here we see the Green Man is escorted out, surrounded by all the goat horns, and the Green Man, of course, is synonymous with Cernunnos, the horned god of the underworld. Moving on to the second part of the ceremony, where we see a display of projected images onto a wall or a screen, the workers form an 8-spoked wheel just before they breach through the mountain wall. 8-spoked wheels are depicted as time and space mechanisms throughout ancient artworks. They are synonymous with transcending space-time. This is why CERN's detectors, particularly the Atlas detector, is designed after the 8-spoked wheel, the 8-spoked wheel of time, because it is a time and space mechanism. This, make no mistake, is not by accident. On the projected screen, we see the mountain is now breached, representing the breaking of the veil of reality. The workers are then sucked into the void of a portal, where numerous specter-like hands are reaching out to them. Quite disturbing. Chaos ensues, and specter-like entities are released into this dimension. We now see the horned god appears in the black void, the abyss, coming out from the bottomless pit. The underworld is unleashed. At this point, we can now see the strong parallels between Gotthard's ritual and CERN, particularly CERN's occult film ritual symmetry. Here you can see naked entities in the black void of the abyss is depicted in both Gotthard ritual and CERN's occult film ritual symmetry. So after the collapsing of time and space, the merging of dimensions, the opening of the portal and unleashing of the underworld, we now see a clock is shown to be in disarray, going forwards and backwards, representing space-time manipulation or distortion. The same time distortion symbolism is also shown in CERN film symmetry. A brief close-up of the watch of the character named Lucas, which is a name that has been said to be an allusion to Lucifer, shows time going in reverse before abruptly stopping. Further exploring the connection between Lucifer or Satan and time, an interesting side note, in the film Winter's Tale, Lucifer, played by Will Smith, has a dialogue with one of his demon minions, played by Russell Crowe. In this scene, Lucifer informs his demon how he has no comprehension of the simple ebbs and turns of time, and eludes his understanding. Since Satan is also known as the serpent or the dragon, and the serpent is another variation of the Ouroboros, which is a symbol of time, we can see why Lucifer places so much emphasis on the construct of time in this scene. He is also shown reading the book A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, although it is essentially unnoticeable unless you search for it, emphasizing once again the connection between Lucifer and time. All you have to do is pay attention to what the media telegraphs regarding CERN. When you see Wall Street Journal, for example, recently release headlines such as, quote, CERN is seeking secrets of the universe or maybe opening the portals of hell, end quote, and openly discuss conspiracy theories and address conspiracy theories about CERN, you know the CERN occult agenda is real. It's really happening. They are literally attempting to crack time and space, merging dimensional realities in order for the unleashing of the underworld to take place. This is why they've injected themes and symbolism associated with time travel, dimensional travel, CERN, particle collider, time distortion, portals, dimensional doors, and so much more in our media more than ever before. On one level, people will dismiss any notion of the CERN occult agenda being real, dismissing the possibility CERN is creating dimensional doors because it was shown in science fiction. It was shown on this TV show or that TV show. This is how they condition the populace on a subconscious level to accept these scenarios as purely science fiction and not possible. But make no mistake, what is seemingly science fiction is literally manifesting in our reality. This is precisely why it is possible reality itself has changed or been altered. Because when human beings are tampering with forces they should never be tampering with, opening doors they should never open, the result is likely something most humans cannot even begin to fathom or comprehend.
Do not speak to me of time, demon. Its simplest ebbs and turns elude your meager understanding.
We're standing in the core of the most powerful particle collider ever built. Most colliders cap out at 27%. It's a stability concern. We found a way to push through that. Earlier this year, our system went online at 82% capacity, at which point this window appeared.
is the God they taught me about at school. And there is the God that's hidden by what surrounds us in this civilization.